be calling you a radical, so it's going to be 13 years. And it blows my mind how the media is now using the word meltdown for the first time in 13 years. I've saw it pop up 3 times in the last 24 hours, and it says meltdown. They might go on and say they don't say nuclear energy meltdowns. They don't say Fukushima nuclear meltdowns. They just say meltdown. Haven't used the fucking word for the frogs have been boiled nicely. So it blows my mind how you could pump out a so-called scientific fucking paper and regurgitate nonsense from the tank water and ignore the 13 years of contamination. I mean, the nuclear frogs have been boiled nicely. It's insanity, actually, is what it is. Any rational, half a brain cell thinking human being isn't buying this fucking red herring called the tank water bullshit. Come on. These are full core meltdowns. 3, at least most likely 4, 8 spent fuel pools blown to smithereens, pushed into the Pacific Ocean, pushed into the... It really doesn't matter if it's into the air or the water, does it? Because if it's in the water, the storm dries up. We're being hammered. The data's out there. You tend to ignore it. And these guys are fucking gurgitating papers, and they're collecting paychecks, working for university academia think tanks, and fucking putting this nonsense out there. TEPCO's out today. Oh, we got another new plan. This is on HNK. Oh, fuck. It's 4,747 days today. And we're still coming up with another new plan? We still plan on having it done by 2051. The nuclear energy emperors have no fucking clothes. So you're going to tell me, and it blows my mind how nobody's interested anymore. Good. It's interested in you. So it blows my mind, actually, how short the attention span is of the American populace and the normal bias and the sheep. They're in their own little world, their own little cocoon, everybody, until they get cancer. And I saw it when I was in the bone marrow transplant center and, had all these support groups and fighting for my life full of fucking AML leukemia. I saw it firsthand. People, it's still about selfishness. Even when they're dying of cancer, they still can't open their fucking minds. And understand the fact that these monsters poison. And for somehow, people think a nuclear meltdown doesn't poison the fucking planet? Then why are we so afraid of them? Why do we spend so much fucking money trying to contain them? We're afraid of nuclear meltdowns. We're afraid of nuclear meltdowns. So that happened. I talked to a young man today, and he says, I want to tell you, I saw you with your Fukushima shirt on one day. I just got back from Japan here a few months ago. Where was you at? He told me. I says, oh, so you were in that prefecture. Yeah. I says, well, I'm all ears. He says, oh my God. He says, nobody talks about Fukushima in the United States. That's all they talk about over there. And I says, well, tell me this. What's the breath all over? He says, I was all over Japan. I was teaching English. I says, what's the breath over there? What are people saying? I told him he didn't know me from Adam. I told him what I do. I says, I've been working on this PhD since Fukushima happened, the effects on the Pacific Ocean of these nuclear meltdowns. And he says, that's all anybody talks about over there. I says, what do they think? Oh, they hate the nuclear industry. I says, well, I guess they understand the United States runs. Oh, yeah, they all know that the United States calls all the shots over there. They hate the nuclear industry with a bloody passion. And I says, so did you know anything about Fukushima when you went over there? He went over there 2 years ago on an English teaching. Had no clue. Had no clue. How long did it take you till you got over there? 3 days. He says, that guy told him that when the English contract, he says, well, we've had trouble getting European teachers, here. And he's like, why? And he says, Fukushima. And I told him, what's that? And he says, really? You don't know? How is that possible? He says, I think most people in the United States don't know. We had a long conversation. Oh, he's up to it, boy. He knows. He says, that poison the... I says, yeah, we're the down. Yeah. And then I showed him my tide pool videos. We discussed, the details. We sat down and talked details for about an hour. And he says, yeah. He says, everything you're saying to me right here in the last hour that you've been doing is what everybody says over there. I said, not here, do they? He says, why is that? And I says, if you can figure that one out, that's the $1 billion fucking question. Number one, they classified me, which they did, Army Corps engineers. But I told him, look, here's the thing. This fake, it's exposed academia in the United States anyway. It's absolutely exposed the fraud of academia. That the greatest PhD opportunity in human history, and I'm the only guy that fucking took it from day one all the way through. My tide pool work alone is so historic, it's unbelievable. We're talking thousands of hours of extremely historic low tides. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of visual proof of the crash of the starfish, the crash of the sea anemones, the crash of the fucking California upper purple urchins, my salmon work. I mean, I remember back in those days in 2012, 13, 14, the heat, but when it started to happen, I mean, my videos, I could spit on the fucking ground and get fucking 20,000 views. I mean, people were paying attention. Now it's just crashed off a fucking cliff. So I was talking to him. I says, you got a background in any science? Yeah. He says, I have a college degree and a bachelor's degree. And we talked, and I says, do you know what an outlier is? Yeah. I says, then I explained. I says, look, we have the data. I says, Noah hid the data for years on the wells, but Kevin Blanch put it out. They mirror my data now. Now, they use what do they call it? Unusual mortality event. What penny painted fucking language? So, you know about the JSTOR. We talked about the JSTOR. I says how they take your work and hide it away, which any real PhD on the planet on any real subject matter is going to have to freelance. Anybody who's doing any real, and you got to have to, where else you going to go? You're going to write a book? Book writing does shit. You've got social media platforms. You got Twitter. You got Facebook. You got YouTube. And that's if they don't take you down. They don't fucking. But I says, look, it took me a long time, my YouTube site, because at first I was trying to get attention. I'm using sets. I'm using retention. I'm doing everything, which I did. I got an email from YouTube in 2012, 2013. And it said that I had one of the top 10 YouTube sites in the world. Not top 10%. Top 10 YouTube sites in the world in retention. And I knew it was based on retention. I knew that the search engine, I used to teach communications, the number one school business in the country. I knew that. I knew how the search engine worked, and I put a lot of work into holding retention, thus the strong, intense language, the visual fucking genre, the artist, activist, the scientist. So, when you used to go, it used to be by retention on the sidebar before they kettled me in 2018. They didn't kettle me till early 2018. So, I was competing with BBC, Reuters, ABC, and all the usual suspects. You would Google even the word Fukushima, nuclear meltdown, anything that had anything to do with anything, this salmon collapse, you'd call it. I was 19 of 20 on the sidebar. 19 of 20. Consistently for 7 years. Who can do that? Who can fuck? Oh, I did it. Why? And, the cancer, who knew that I would get cancer that year? Bone marrow transplant. And again, it wasn't based on view count. It was based on retention. And I had good view count. And I had an engaged audience. I had a group. I could go anywhere in the world and people would show up just to come visit with me, pick my brain from every walk of life, from you name it. And then in 2018, they kettled me. Now, the Supreme Court's getting ready to rule. I was hoping it would come out later this afternoon on the First Amendment case. That's a big fucking decision. And what they did to me, I mean, maybe it'll be as big as that one, Bush Gore. That's the kind of clout I had at one time. We were talking back when I was a famous activist, back then, 2000 and those. I didn't have a YouTube site, but I was everywhere. It's a Peace Vigil, New York, all that work I did for so long. And he gave me that. I was connected with about anybody who was anybody as far as the activists, including Anonymous, including Aaron Swartz, including Megan Rice, all these great activists. I mean, we fought, man. We were fighting, Iraq, Afghanistan, we battled, man. We took it on so beautifully, so intensely, so correctly, so honestly, so organically. And I was always the nuclear, anti-nuclear, the nuclear energy, always sinning up for all of it. And then when Fukushima happened, everybody's like, well, you're such a famous activist, Blanch, you were heavily involved, Occupy at the beginning, all this, you've gone Fukushima mad. I says, I knew it was the top of the fucking, I knew it was the top. I says, if you're anti-imperialist, you got to be anti-nuclear energy. If you're anti-war, you got to be anti-nuclear energy. I knew this was the tip. The great equalizer. It doesn't care about your socioeconomic status. I knew, that cancer was going to ravish this planet. I knew it was going to ravish the ecology, the animals, the plants. It was only a matter of time. And it happened quickly. So I says, my work, first you hypothesize, traditional, real, these PhDs aren't PhDs around. We found out copy paste. I teach law at NYU. I teach, at fucking Harvard. I teach biology at San Diego State. I used to know Steve, Monterey Aquarium, and then him at San Diego State. They both bolted to South America because they're so ashamed of themselves. They told me to my face. Steve at the Monterey Aquarium told me right in my face. Boy, I used to laugh at you at first. He says, I owe you such an apology. He told me that in 2015-16 when he bolted. These guys bolted. They had to. You think about it. How can any of them even say anything? They can't because they lied and covered it up. I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? I'm a fisherman, what's a boat? I'm a biologist. I'm a scientist. I work for NOAA. I work for the EPA. I'm a university academia professor in the sciences, fucking in the biology department, in the zoology department. What's Fukushima? It's past egg on your face. It's fraud. It's criminal. And they know that. They know that if the fucking United States population knew the truth, now they know the truth in Europe. You go to Europe and they're like, oh, fuck. It's like my favorite thing is, fuck, Germany's full of shit. Germany don't know what they're doing. Fuck. Old Oppie himself. Anybody who's anybody has always said that the Germans are the best nuclear physicists on the face of the planet, including that scumbag Oppenheimer. He said it early on in the Manhattan Project. If the Germans wanted this bomb, this technology, they would have it. They're the best nuclear physicists on the planet. Angela Merkel was a nuclear physicist when Fukushima happened. All the nuclear physicists, and I saw some video about propaganda bullshit talking about, it's just a bunch of crazy Green Party. Crazy Green Party. You know how grassroots the Green Party rose up in that part of the world via Chernobyl? It took them all that years to gain power in legislative branches. They have three-party governments over there. They rule. The Austrians, they know. The Germans, they know. The Italianos, they know. I was talking to some kid that works here at Western Economy. He says, my family's Austrian. We go back to Austria. And they started arguing with me about nuclears. I says, go over to Vienna and run your mouth about your pro-nuclear energy. See what happens to you. Not safe, buddy. They get it. Germany shut down all their nuclear reactors, and you're going to go to the media, or the internet or whatever, and they're going to just slander that. Fuck, please. Same in Japan. We got a nuclear renaissance. I see new scale stocks that, because these digital nomads are gambling, that's what people do now with this loose money they got when they jumped on the Fed. They gamble the markets. They find a small thing and they just grandstand it up. No fundamental research, no nothing. It's a fucking casino. You know, they're playing roulette. And they don't understand the basic fundamentals behind this because they don't care. Because they think that money, a bunch of money, is their wealth. I used to have a lot of money. I worked on Wall Street. I fucking worked on Wall Street. That's your wealth, your health. I've been going through a heavy rehab program. I'd look back on it now. I got a pacemaker now. My whole heart ripped to shreds again a little over a year ago. My chest split open, my heart pulled out for the second time, the AML leukemia. I look back on it now and I can't believe how much muscle mass I'm growing every day. I've been in this really heavy rehab program daily. Fuck, it's been, a mall walk every day. I got on this certain diet every day. I'm still in my routine. I've been really good, to the point where my body, I look back on it, I can't believe how ravished I was. I can't believe what my body went through. And I'm doing the type of work when I'm in critical condition. I'm full of AML leukemia. I got a failed aortic valve fucking from the heart. I've got all these issues going on the whole time. I mean, my body's finally returning to what it was in 2011 before I got cancer. It's been that long of a physical fight. But I think it's kind of my place in time. I think I was connected with the ocean. I really think it's just my connection. I'm going through what she's going through. The ocean, the mighty blue lake, the ecology, Mother Earth. I'm going through what Mother Earth. I think I'm so reflectionary and I've become so in tune with my environment. I've allowed myself to be. I always have allowed. I've always been in symphony with her since I was a child. A lot of it's where I grew up out here on this beautiful, incredible marsh. In fact, I was driving around today, coming home, looking around because, I grew up here out in West Weaver, the marsh, and I'm like, it's Swan Week. This is when the tundras and the trumpeters flew through. I found a few last year. Nothing. I can't fucking find one. I'm like, oh, geez. And there's plenty of water here for them this year. The ground's perfect for what they like. Everybody that's dying of cancer, the denial, the data. So as I was talking to that young man, I'm like, look, you do understand what an outlier is. Yeah, I had to take stats. So I says, we talked about the Jedediah Smith and the Klamath. The Klamath, they're tearing out the dams now. I says, they're right next to each other. Yeah, I've been there. I've been on both rivers. I says, they're very close. Yeah. Jedediah Smith has no dams. The Klamath and Jedediah Smith are both in symphony. The salmon collapse there post Fukushima is 97% collapse. They are to a T with each other. They're dying at sea. So the well numbers are hard to get, but we have them out there. The tide pool numbers, they're admitting everything I said for years now. Yeah, down 95, 99% the starfish. But we have all the salmon numbers from the Kenai up and down. Now the smoking gun, especially on rivers like the Jedediah Smith, the Willamette, the Rogue, the Deschutes, the Klamath. The Columbia River is run by the Army Corps of Engineers. I don't even want to get into that, but because that's complex, but I don't believe a word they fucking say, but that collapse there. But the Fraser, the Kenai, all these historic rivers all the way from the Kenai all the way to the Jedediah Smith. They're all in symphony with each other. Now, still had salmon go to sea for 1 year. As Kevin Blanch hypothesized, traditional PhD works like this. First you hypothesize the knowledge. Kevin Blanch. These are full-blown out fucking nuclear meltdowns. They're lying. I knew they couldn't handle at 8, let alone at 9. I knew they were gone. That's what I used to do. I used to do the due diligence when I was the finance guy, the environmental economist at Weber State. That's what I did. I mean, that's who built it. GEG. That's the university I was at. #1 school business in the United States. And we were public, beating Wharton, Elon Musk's school. Trump's school too, right? So I knew they were lying. It took me 1.5 years to convince anybody it was one nuclear meltdown. One. And this is multiple nuclear meltdowns. I knew there was MOX fuel there. I knew there was giant loads on. I knew this was going to. I'm like, they're lying. This is going to cause an energy unforeseen in the history of mankind. We don't even know what the fuck it is. Because we had one partial meltdown at Chernobyl, which was a graphite core that was a new reactor that blew up to 780,000 men entombed. There were no spent fuel pools there. It was a new reactor. And it was nasty. It was a horrible fucking, I mean, that's been proven. This is at least 3 full core meltdowns, most likely 4. 8 spent, the biggest probably load of spent fuel on the face of the planet, unless maybe the big Z in Chernobyl is in trouble now. And they blew to smithereens. Visual proof of it. These are full-blown out meltdowns. This energy is going to push into the ocean. It's unforeseen. It's going to cause an energy. It's going to fucking get into the trees. It's going to, pine needles hold radiation. They hold radiation from the sun. That's how they stay evergreen. You ever throw them on the fire? It's going to get too much. They're going to overheat. It's going to cause spontaneous fires all over. It's going to cause a heat dome over the western United States. I predicted it. I'm the guy that named it. I named it the Great Western North America Heat Dome, Heat Bubble, before it happened. And it happened, just the greatest drought in 1,200 years. I predicted 2 years ago the bubble would shift up here because you could see it starting to move, on the satellite images. I says, it will break the chain. The first thing will go with the tide pools. The starfish will be the first thing to go. And everybody laughed at me, so, I get cancer. It's going to give you cancer. Oh, I got leukemia. And so, walking the coast while I'm full of fucking cancer, dying, sicker than fuck. What a compelling story. And I'm like, fuck, can you believe it? That's when I started noticing all the seals were going. That's when I started to notice all the sea lions were fucking starving and fucking going. People forget about that acute collapse in 2013 and 14 on the seals and the sea lions. They forget about the fucking mures all washing up fucking dead simultaneously in Bristol Bay, in fucking Avalon, at Diablo, at fucking Pismo. They forget about that. I did not, boots on the ground, video proof. This acute catastrophe. I'm sleeping in a sleep bag. I'm on the ocean, in places where you can't even get any Wi-Fi. In places, fuck, it wasn't like that then. You could just use a phone, click, 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 click. It wasn't like that then. I had a fucking those great little flip cameras I used to use. You have to plug into a hard drive onto a fucking desktop. I got a stack of library cards from California this thick, from every library card on the coast. Because that's what I would use to upload. Have to go and loading videos was slow and cumbersome. I have them all the way from Pacific Beach, you name it, I have it. Up and down that coast. I have some of the coolest. I even have a library card from Big Sur. There's one computer in there. Marina, that's a cool library. I could write a book just on the fucking libraries alone. I remember standing out there in Castroville. I'm out there by that great library in Castroville's so cool, by the way. And, I remember I'm staying with the pickers. I'm sleeping on their floor in Castroville. They're putting me up, They're feeding me, the pickers. That's where I stay while I'm doing all that work there. I'm standing there. I've been in the tide pools all night, it's summertime, and come up and fuck, it's getting late. It's like fucking midnight. The library's closed. I'm standing by the doors and I'm trying to grab some Wi-Fi because I'm using an iPad in those days. Those iPads did such great. Those 2 iPads of mine should be in fucking the Smithsonian. And, I had to keep update, touch, slow as fuck. Sometimes it would take fucking hours to upload a video. That important. And cop pulls up, shines light. He's like, what are you doing, man? And I told him, I says, hey, I told him my situation. I'm doing the tide pools. I'm, blah, 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 blah. I'm documenting this, trying to get some Wi-Fi. He was very cool. He come back around, brought me a drink. He says, here, hand me of Gatorade. A lot of cool people did a lot of cool things, but other people, because they'd wind them up, the trolls were on the internet threatening me. I got guns in my faces twice. I'd be in New York, I was in Vienna, at fucking DC at the Peace Vigil, vented the Million Mass March on the back. We had 7 million people. The attacks on me was vicious, which are felonies in all fucking 50 states, but not if you're nuclear energy. We tracked it down. You think about that whole fucking genre we had, using my art, using my everything I had. I was all in. I was every day dream up another way to try to call attention to this. why I'm doing the greatest PhD in human history. So outliers, we have the data now. So you can ignore my work. It don't really fucking matter because my work will stand forever now because we have the data. So you plug it into a regressionary model. We know factually it's unarguable science now. Unarguable fucking science. That this great Pacific genocide, as I named it, this incredible collapse to our Pacific Ocean, our North American Western ecology, the trees fires, the heat bubble, the collapse of the salmon, the collapse of the wells, the collapse of the tide pools is such a, it's the greatest, it's the most cute radical collapse to an ecology in fucking modern history. Nothing's even close, really. It goes clear back to 416 Krakatoa. That's what, the only thing you can even come close, and this one is bigger because it's longer lasting. This is an acute radical collapse. So you plug in all the regression, everybody knows it will point, it will deviate from the mean, and the outlier will show. The outlier is unarguable. It's absolutely the Pacific Ocean, the North American fucking ecology. The outlier is 2011. It's absolutely unarguable science because we have all the salmon. We know the salmon, the steelhead go to sea 1 to 2 years. I says they'll collapse on Q20. They'll start to collapse in 2012. They did off a cliff. I says steelhead will not collapse until 2016. We had record returns in 2009, 10, 11, 12. The Army Corps of Engineers was doing videos on the Bonneville saying 1.4 mil, which if you take out the catch, that's in 2015 at 4 million. And that's by volume, not by, or excuse me, by number, not by volume, by size. 4 million. Because the catch ratio is at least half. They're grandstanding. Look at this. Magically, 2016 when they crash, the live cam goes down in 2017. Still not up. They classify. I posted the links. Again, Sider came to me. He says, here, look at this. Kevin Blanch, classified. Classified. Kevin Blanch. Kevin Blanch, classified. I posted it online. I mean, we're going to cover this up? We can't. You know, what are we going to do? Wait? Have HBO do a fucking documentary on it in the year 2525? If man is still alive? So, we know. So, the only thing you can argue with me now, the fires. It's well documented now that these fires, everybody says, we thought there were groups of arsonists working across, right? Across the... I mean, the latitude, longitude is exactly right here in Utah. I mean, it hammered right here. You go right exactly 6,500 miles that way on this latitude, you're going to hit Fukushima, Japan. Censoring moves left to right. We know we had an acute radical cancer outbreak in 2011, including me. We know it for fact. All this data is there. You tend to ignore it. And you're saying, oh, look, radiation can't kill a 60,000-pound whale. A woman told me when I'm walking the coast of California. I'm like, I never said it did. It killed its food. You break the chain. Big fish eat little fish. Everything I said happened in perfect symphony. It's like the greatest hypothesis fucking in history. My work? Fuck, I've done the work of 5,000 biologists. You know, and you have to use the visual chart. I had to go here. What am I going to do? Put it in the JSTOR? And, you know, hope Aaron Swartz can go in there and down fucking load it? So, let's have this argument. We know unarguably because we have the well data, the acute collapse of the wells, the acute collapse of the salmon, all this acute in symmetry with the ocean. Guy talked to me, wasting disease, Fukushima's not what kind of wasting disease. Oh, really? It's not? Then what the fuck was it? Tell me what it was. They ain't got no answers. Again, that's why we use regressionary models to take that kind of bias and that kind of bullshit out because there's so much dogma penetrating people's brains when it comes to nuclear energy. So, 2011. And again, we don't even know what this energy is. Ken Buesler's out now saying that when they got over there in 2011, the KLK Japanese boat study that I fucking leaked that into the internet first, he's saying it was millions of times their nuclear radioisotopes. He never said that before. And then he said the ocean's gotten better. Where, Ken? It gets worse. So the 3 full core malform Holstein, and you're telling me that's a coincidence? So we know something happened in 2012. Let's have this argument. What happened in 2011? We know it's unarguable that there was some kind of radical outline. It's not gradual. That's why we call it acute. That's why we call it outline. It's like this. It's acute. As Noah called it on the wells. An unusual mortality event. Unusual? Mystified? Baffled? Stumped? Curious? Alarmed? 13 years we're going to use the word meltdown? Won't say nuclear energy fucking meltdown. The data's all there. And you're going to fucking just accept it. You know, brother got cancer, neighbor got cancer, cousin got cancer, fucking sister got cancer, everybody got cancer. You know, both. Can't happen to me. Look at me. Me. I'm not from the sea. I'm not we. Huh. So, what happened? Did a meteor strike? Did Krakatoa go off again? 5,000 XLDs, oil leaks. We know, again, I can't overstate that, unarguably, that something then radical happened in 2011. Oh, 3 full-core nuclear meltdowns for the first time in human history, which I named plutonium. 8 spent fuel pools killing the conflict with the biggest load of fucking 40 years of fucking nasty. I mean, some of the biggest loads on the planet. Probably including MOX fuel. Blown to smithereens, pushed into the fucking ocean, and you're just going to go. The nuclear energy emperors have no clothes. So you're going to run a test now on the tank water fallacy. I can prove that the tank water is a red herring because the data that showed up that China put out 2 months before they started flushing. They started flushing August 24th, 2023. In early June and in May of 2023, China reported the rockfish were testing for 18,000 becquerels of cesium-137 per kilogram. Now, cesium-137 only comes from a nuclear fission event. We like to use that one. We can use strontium-90. We can use plutonium. We can use all these other ones. But that's the one we like to use because it's a good tracer because of the half-life distance. We can really get a good gauge on it. 18,000, 180 times over the raised legal limits. Now, you know, Gina McCarthy crashed Radnet. Barack Obama took it off. He says, I will keep you abreast. They're telling us the plume. It's like Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction when he knew he was lying. He knew he was lying. And he lied anyway. By the way, there were Saudis. And we go to Afghanistan. So, the truth, Obama on the St. Patrick's Day, on day 6, remember the bridge landed at Gold Beach, Japan, or Gold Beach, Oregon, that you could drive on? A driving overpass on day 6, the jet stream moves that quickly? Scientists are telling us the plume's coming over us right now. They tell us that no precautions are needed, and it's not radioactive. But I will keep you in the know what I know. I will keep you abreast. He was flown to South America that day. The same time Cheryl, one of his aides, one of his cabinet members, or his staffer members, was putting out emails, including to Hillary, to Humma, to everybody. Don't go outside. Take a shower. Wash your clothes. The plume's coming. It's radioactive. Now, we know that because we have the FOIA. Remember we were all the FOIA document readers in those days? We put it all, remember Plumegate? All of us working that together. He never said it again. Yes, he did right before he left office on Jimmy Kimmel. Did you ever get a call at 4 o'clock in the morning like Hillary's having? Yeah, of course I did. I'm President of the United States. You got an example? Yeah, like when Fukushima happened. Jimmy Kimmel. Where's Johnny Carson when you need him? What's Fukushima? Barack Obama, you know, the typhoon. Just the tsunami, the great tsunami and earthquake 9.4 that killed 300,000 people just in the tsunami alone. Let alone the fucking nuclear meltdowns. He called it a typhoon. Trump, I asked Trump from here to there in Salt Lake, you going to talk about Fukushima? He told me yes. He was on Fox News, Salt Lake. Did he? Met with the B 17 times, including I was at the White House that night when he got elected. I took the bus through the middle. I was at Trump Towers when a B came in. They met at Mar-a-Lago. The first guy in was at B, high-fiving, blocked out the windows. What do you think? They're talking their golf game? And you think Trump's a counterculturist? And then, Biden? He's never mentioned it. He's never mentioned it one time. And he was vice president and president. So, 13. What a number. You're going to ignore my work, but I really am. All new knowledge will be persecuted. Walk out and look at your tide pools. Look at the salmon numbers. It's acute radical. It's not this. It was like this. The Great Pacific Genocide. Kevin Blanch, the greatest PhD in human history. Remember Semmelweis, the germ theory guy in Vienna? Doctors, wash your hands. What? Little invisible drains flying through the air? That's blasphemy. 10 years he spent doing it. He proved it. And he treated him like he went so insane, the doctor. He just kept screaming around. They finally, it drove him insane because he knew and he'd proved it. They threw him in a rubber and beat him to death. He was right the whole time. The greatest PhD in human history was fucking Semmelweis. No fucking doubt. Until this one came along. Kevin Blanch, the new savior of mothers, he's called. There's a clinic in Vienna. I went over to it. Paid my respect to that incredible scientist. You know, he had to do it on his own. You can go in denial all you want. Go ahead. You're telling me 3 full court meltdowns, 8 spent fuel pools, and there's no byproduct for that. And scientists are mystified, they're baffled, they're stumped, they're curious, they're on. That's not science, it's fraud. For every action, there's a reaction. It's the greatest action in human history. And the denial of Fukushima is the greatest mental illness in human history in North America. The people that are affected the most. We live in a fucking sane asylum called the United States of fucking usury. Think their money's going to save them. Good luck to you with that. What about the animals? What about the ecology? What about our kids? What about our grandkids? What about your neighbor's kids? What about your neighbors? What about your friends? What about your community? What about the trees? What about the animals? What about the ecology? You don't think you're part of that? Oh, you're fucking part of it. The great equalizer, Fukushima. Stand tuned. We just keep hammering away. I won't give up if you don't give up. Talk about a view to a kill. Stand tuned.